evening, Pamela.
Good evening, Vinny, and good evening
Evening
to
all
all
our
of you.
followers and our
Good
people.
evening to all. Here we go again. Good evening to all our viewers and followers tonight.
Yes.
It's
And, by the way,
Wednesday night,
this is St. Patrick's Day Eve. There's such
right?
thing.
And it's actually also
Tomorrow,
Purim.
everybody's Irish tomorrow.
No, tonight we're celebrating Purim.
Yes. Oh yeah, tonight's Purim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do the Jewish people do on Purim?
On Purim tonight we read the Megillah, the scroll of Esther, and after we do that, it's a big party tonight. Everyone always says it's the Jewish
party.
No, usually, yeah.
Like the men throw their yarmulkes in the air and they go crazy. No.
We shake the maracas. It's a really big holiday. Everyone always tries to equate it to the Jewish version of Halloween because we're wearing costumes, but we're not wearing the same types of costumes that you would normally wear, for instance, on Halloween. The girls usually dress up as
hello to Pam and I.
Well, no, the girls dress up as queens and princesses, and the boys dress up, as kings. But nowadays, everything's a little more modern. So tonight, when I go to the Purim party over at the Chabad at B'nai Avraham, the theme. But it's cute. Well, Rabbi Raskin, who showed up last week.
You have somebody that raps there too, a rabbi that raps.
Yes, we have a rapping rabbi, of course.
Rapping rabbi, I like that.
Rapping rabbi. And so
a big gold chain. Okay.
So one of the things are, the mitzvah, the good deed and having fun is we're supposed to drink, party, get loud, be rowdy, and have a lot of fun. And have Homentashen and, the little
Homentashen, pastry?
That's a pastry. It's in a triangle.
We have a new sponsor tonight on Tuzo's Pastries. Now, they don't have Hamantash there. They got spingy, they got cannolis.
Well, as I said earlier.
I grew up in, this is a little Italy. They've been there since 1947, way before I was born. But all the four brothers I boxed. One of the brothers I boxed with. The other one I went scuba diving. We got certified together. And the other one who's running the show is we used to hang out. So I have some history with these. But the pastries they make are unbelievable. And out of all the pastry shops in my neighborhood, about 7 of them, I went to them first because I want to go to the best first. And they said, yeah, we want to be on your podcast. So, well, first of all, see, I got my Bronx shirt on, too. I'm in the Bronx mood. By the way, I was in a bad mood before we opened the show. I couldn't open my computer. I got a brand new computer. I don't know what the hell happened. Anthony showed me what to do. I don't know what I did, but it's working. So I'm in a good mood now. I'm in a great mood.
Okay.
And you got a great guest. Everybody, we have a really, really good guest. Pam's friend, this guy George, is he's the smartest guy in the room. No, we're gonna have an interesting show tonight. We have a very hi Mike. We have a very Eddie. Hello, Eddie. Oh boy, we got everybody. Oh,
hi from Howard Beach.
And Bob Rizzi. Hello. Oh, Bob Rizzi's always going to Artuzo's buying their pastries. So.
Well, next time I see you, since you're constantly talking about cannoli pastries and all these other Italian delicacies, you better put up or shut up because it's all I hear.
Gigi LaQ. Oh my God.
Gigi's not at the airport tonight.
This is great. George has brought us all these people today. They know George is going to be on tonight. And George, he's going to be great tonight.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about George.
I
know George over 20 years. And first of all, I want to congratulate George. George Antonopoulos is president of Wall Street Investments and chief investment strategist. He has been on many, many times. He has been on Fox News, national media, many appearances discussing the stock market over the years. And he's on Facebook and he's on Twitter. And so he has been president of his company. It was wallstreeteye.com. He has his finger on the pulse at all times on the economy, on the stock market. And so I know him, it's over 20 years. And I also want to congratulate him because he just announced to me yesterday that he's been accepted into the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. And he already has his MBA, and this is just going to take him further and further up the chain. So with a warm, very, very warm welcome, I would like to bring George Antonopoulos on. If he's ready, George, come on down.
I really appreciate that warm welcome, Pamela. Vinny, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here this evening. And hello to your audience.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we brought you on because I know in the years that I've known you, you always have known what to do, where to invest money, and you've given great advice to all your clients, whether it's been an individual investor like myself or the large companies and corporate clients that you have.
Well, yes, I think that the reason that I think I owe a lot of my successes to my parents, God bless their soul, they're no longer here, but I was imparted with a lot of wisdom growing up, a son of Greek immigrants, and we had a small business. And, you know, I always just remember that, well, we had a hotel and we were in the hotel business, long story short. And so the way we got repeat clients, I was very young, and I would notice that my father always kept this little bottle of Chivas Regal whiskey in the back behind the front desk at the hotel. And we'd have hunter seasons come in all the time there in Western Colorado. All the Greeks emigrated from Greece to Western Colorado. But anyway, I always understood the importance and value of customer service and being there for your clients and building a relationship. Because I think what gets lost in the translation, especially today in 2022, and everybody's on the, locked into their phones and
You're looking down.
We've had to disconnect. And the reason that has something to do with the small market is when the proverbial, what hits the fan, like it just did in the last 2 months with this market correction we've had. And you see these incredible shifts in inflation where you're like, wait a minute, gas has doubled in a year. My eggs, my milk, my cheese, it doesn't matter what your income level is. Everybody experiences that same price increase because everybody has to eat the same food at the same store. Like everybody goes to either Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, or however you order your food, but we're all in this inflation
together,
spiral together. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So the reason I say that is because what I learned is that if I can add this incredible value-added service above and beyond, just being a stockbroker or a bond broker, just being there for people, being there when times are good, and also making the phone call when times are tough, like the last couple of months, and also communicating about geopolitical conflicts that we obviously have and that we will inevitably have moving forward into the future. So I think that's my skill set and what I bring to the table. And without getting all wonky about interest rates, by the way, we just had a 0.25% interest rate increase 5 hours ago.
Oh.
The Federal Reserve increased rates today.
I didn't even know.
Credit card bills are higher. If you go get a mortgage, it's higher. A car loan is higher on top of all the inflation that we have. And they say that will curtail the prices, but does that really make it easier for the
consumer,
for the middle class American trying to climb the economic ladder and achieve their American dream? It's a good question.
Well, can I ask you a question? Is there really a middle class anymore, or will there be a middle class at some point? Because it seems that the lower socioeconomic population seems to be growing faster because of unemployment, because of the high inflation. And of course, you're always going to have the 1% and everybody else that they're going to be able to adjust to all these higher prices because of all their savings and all their investments.
Pamela, you just hit the nucleus atomic particle question of the day. Imagine this. You're a person who makes $500,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Anyone out there in the audience? And you go fill up your tank and it's $90 at the gas station on Long Island or Manhattan.
Yes, any place, right.
$90 to fill up your SUV. And you make $500,000 a year.
Does it affect me making that kind of money? Of course not. Because I need the gas no matter what.
$60,000 a year, and you're trying to contribute to your IRA, raise 2 kids, and your wife dual income, no kids, or dual income, 2 kids, whatever. And that same, say, $50,000 to $70,000 household income goes and fills up that tank of gas for $90. Who does it impact more? You're absolutely right. There's a huge punch to the gut to the middle class in America. We've got a real issue here. And, I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. The one way that someone who's in that struggling middle class, the one thing that you can do to beat the system legitimately, and the way you should do it, contribute to your IRA religiously on a monthly basis. Don't just save your money, right? Also invest a percentage of your income no matter what, and create a budget on Microsoft Excel or get a program out there that you can understand. And it's the discipline of that monthly contribution to your retirement account. And you buy stocks that you understand, and hopefully they'll outgrow the inflation so that in 20 years you can fight through all these problems and shenanigans from Washington that are hurting all of us cumulatively. And that's the way you can win. You have to just put on your thinking cap and just be strategic, but yet disciplined.
Right, but that's for savings, because if you turn around no matter what and you delegate a certain portion every single month to the IRA, like you said, like I was just telling to you, it is for savings, because no matter what, if you don't put it aside, and I see a black screen, but if you don't put it aside, then and you start spending for everything else, you say, so I don't have it this month, I'll do it next month. You never catch up.
That's the problem that a lot of Americans face. So the way to win again is think outside the box, get a side hustle. If that means, you have to take something that may be below your qualifications or whatever, anyone out there listening, do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your future self. Mm-hmm. Your future self in the year 2042, in 20 years. I told someone the other day, a new prospective client was coming on board, and I said, do you have a 20-year game plan? No, I don't, George. May we implement one? Yes, we can. So the reason I tell people to think in 20-year timeframes is because just think back. 9/11 was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, that time goes. So if you have that 20-year plan, and like you say, you just somehow find a way to make it happen. If that means getting a second job temporarily till we get through this, inflation nation that we're in, it's here to stay.
But George, if you remember too, after 9/11, there was a huge impact also. I don't know if everyone felt it across the country, but I know we definitely felt it here in New York. I know as a private attorney, as a solo practitioner, it was very hard to settle cases. It was very hard to convince juries back then, to put a dollar amount and award a sum of money to a client who had a trip and fall or who had a soft tissue injury, when so many people were lost, so many families were affected, either directly or indirectly, or just the fact of what happened to New York. And for them to sit in a courtroom afterwards, it seemed so trivial to them to turn around and put a dollar value on personal injury cases. So I know personally, and you and I had a relationship back then with my money and finances, and we all took a hit back then as well. And it's 20 years later, 25 years later, and we're facing it again now.
We just went through a 2-year.
Let me interrupt.
Sure.
I got to say something. I asked you a question before the show, and let's discuss that tonight. Everybody's blaming Putin for what's going on. I don't believe he's the problem. But with our inflation and with our prices going up and what's going on, who's to blame?
The buck stops on the desk at the White House. I mean,
They can, all right, let me ask you another question. How can they fix it? Or can it be fixed? Or cannot be fixed?
It could be fixed at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Oh boy.
It could be fixed in 60 seconds tonight.
How?
We do not wire $75 million to Vladimir Putin like we do every morning at the United States Treasury, to Moscow and the Kremlin, which finances his war. And we're buying their oil from Russia. So just stop. Don't hit send tomorrow morning. Oil might go up. Oil might go up 10
every week.
I'm sorry.
You're sending it for the oil, or just sending?
The United States of America is paying Vladimir Putin and wiring $75 million from the U.S. Treasury every morning to buy their oil. Why are we doing that and financing his war? Like,
I thought he stopped that. I thought he put a second. No.
Up until 48 hours ago. Okay. And then, so if that's been solved and I saw something about that, let's say it has been not, let's say we're not paying Vladimir Putin $75 million every day anymore as of this weekend. Let's say that's true. So tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., the president, if he unsigned, de-signed, take back, whatever the legal term is.
Canceled.
Rescind the executive order that he signed the day he took office a year and a month ago, whatever, about shutting down the pipelines and all of the oil development and exploration that was happening here in the United States. We've got we have so many natural resources to fuel not only America, we were energy independent up until 380 days ago.
Yeah.
We did not need Iran, who just sent missiles into our consulate in Baghdad, Iraq this week, within the last week. We didn't need Vladimir Putin. We didn't need any of this. We didn't need to go crying to Saudi Arabia. We have our own resources.
Now this afternoon, I was a guest on I was reversed. I was the guest.
Oh, okay.
This came up during the podcast, and my host, was a dear friend of mine, says that it wasn't Biden's fault. It was supply and demand. And I said, wait a minute. What do you mean supply and demand? The guy stopped everything when he got into office. He reversed all of Donald Trump's executive orders. And that's, to my opinion, unless I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what started this downward spiral of our energy.
I don't know if the audience, you're absolutely right, Vince. Vinny, you're spot on. I just want to say a quick parable about the water diamond paradox. I don't know. I learned this in my MBA, but so imagine that, Vinny, you and I were on a desert and I came across on my camel and, I had 5 canteens of water and I was just going on my journey and I came across you and you were dying of thirst and you had a satchel full of the world's most priceless diamonds. But you would die in 2 hours if you don't have some of my water. And I'm fully hydrated. I've got enough water for 3 trips if I want, just by myself. So I could spare one of my 5 canteens. That one canteen, what is it worth? How many diamonds would you give me for that one canteen of water?
Well, I got to ask you, is that canteen Fiji water or Poland spring water? That makes a difference.
I've got one of each.
I give 30 diamonds. I'll give you 40 diamonds.
I would say, sorry, I need them all.
Oh.
You've got 2 hours to live with the thirst. I mean, the paradox is that it's supply and demand. In 2018, okay, you can look this up. It's a fact. Senator Chuck Schumer of New York sat with 2 other of his senatorial colleagues with a little sign in front of a mobile gas station saying, lower gasoline prices now, President Trump. The average gallon of gas was $2 and some odd cents a gallon. Today it's double. So I just ask you, where are those politicians now with the lower the gas prices?
Yeah.
The signs. Why don't they get in front of a camera now and say, hey, lower the gas prices? So they're always blaming somebody else, but it's all about supply and demand. We have enough natural resources in the continental U.S. as well as Anwar in Alaska, right? As well as off the shore of Louisiana in the Gulf of Mexico to last not only the United States of America, but we can export for the next 350 years. It's a fact. It's all political. It's all against the petrochemical industry. And, it's the far left against.
George, isn't that industry powerful? I mean, financially and politically, aren't they powerful?
Absolutely. I mean, but if you take the corollary of that, Elon Musk, who has every incentive to not say, hey, oil prices, he even said, hey, you got to drill more. And he's like, this is coming from me. And he was being tongue in cheek, but he was being honest. And, Musk gets it because There was a commercial the other day from the Petroleum Institute, and it said, "Imagine a life without oil." It was obviously a funded campaign, and it was a 30-second commercial. And I saw it on TV. I said, "That's the most brilliant commercial I've ever seen in my life." And it showed someone holding their iPhone, and then it dissolved. And then they went to a coffee shop, and then the coffee dissolved because all the machines take oil and plastics. And then someone was putting on their contacts, and it dissolved. It disappeared, and all of life disappeared. And then the woman
shows everything is oil based.
Look.
I mean, you know, they want to change everything overnight. It's not going to happen. You got to do it gradually.
I love Tesla. Our clients are Tesla.
They believe that this is the industrial revolution.
I own Tesla shares as a disclosure. So I love what Elon Musk is doing. I think electric cars are great, but let's not forget that we have to plug that into an outlet.
Yeah.
And that takes coal energy, which is, I mean, it just doesn't appear from thin air energy. So yes, let's explore all the, let's explore
alternatives.
Yes. I mean, that should be part of the.
George, I want to ask you something. I know you're not a scientist, but you're just a very smart businessman. What if tomorrow, everybody had the money to buy an electric car? Everybody had an electric car. Can our electric grid handle it? No.
And let's just say that it was mandated. So a truck driver that's, say, driving produce from Chicago to New York, I'm just using 1,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
What if they run out of fuel in mile 570, and then you have 100,000 trucks on the highway stalled out?
They all need to be charged up.
What are we we don't have that infrastructure.
Well, you carry a bunch of ever-ready batteries with you. You stick it in the truck.
Now that's where the money is, the long-range batteries, right, for the future. But
the little rabbit going like.
Yeah, I think we just need to do all of the above, and let's be open-minded, let's be intelligent, but let's make it a rule. How about this? New rules, right? If you get elected to the United States Congress and the House of Representatives or the United States Senate, let's just say that as part of your swearing in, that you have to take a course in economics, just one book, one course, macroeconomics, so that you know the difference between supply and demand, and you can't get up there and, some of these politicians, they pop off on Twitter or TikTok or this, that.
Right.
They're not talking about anything but garbage, and it doesn't.
By the way, George, to further advance what you just said, Chuck Schumer never had a job in his life. He went right from law school into politics. He doesn't know what it is to balance the checkbook, to pay people overtime. He doesn't have any idea of paying the rent on a store or paying expenses or even paying taxes on a business. I mean, he's a bureaucrat. Most of the people in Congress and the Senate that have been there for a long time, they don't have any, but yet they're all millionaires because they have insider trading. Hello?
It's a big problem, and it's on both sides of the aisle, Vin.
Yeah, both. Everybody does it.
I mean, Vinny, audience, get this. In January of 2020, this is public knowledge, right? That the United States Congress, both the members of the House and the Senate, and President Trump in his office, they had meetings on the China virus. It was called at the time coronavirus. It wasn't even called COVID-19 till 6 months later. But at that moment, they were even saying it was called the Wuhan virus on CNN in the very infant days before the public even had heard of this.
Right, because it came from the Wuhan province at that time before they called it the Wuhan virus. So
they knew the stock market was going to tumble, and they were advised you cannot trade on that. It's a no-no. So the female senator from Georgia, she's a Republican. Her husband's the head of the NASDAQ. She traded on the information. Like, what are you doing? Why? And then, a couple of other people on Democrats. It's both sides of the aisle. I'm not picking sides.
Yeah, both of them.
We need to create a federal law. The next president of the United States has to create a federal law that needs to be passed by Congress. It's okay to have a portfolio on Wall Street. It's great. But there have to be rules, and you cannot trade on any information that you're privy to as a representative of the United States people. I mean, it's just, you
Well,
can't.
look at Nancy Pelosi. She understood that they were going to electric cars for the post office or one of the government agencies, and she went and her husband, they went and bought Tesla stock.
But
They're
like he said, it's on both sides. And so we can single out a Republican, we can single out a Democrat. It's on both sides.
George, you're an investment bank. You're an investment person.
Sure.
These people that come into Congress, like AOC, she's a socialist, but she's selling stuff on the internet. She's driving cars that burn gas and oil. They take private planes to go to these summit conferences for the ecology and for the green thing, and what's his name? John Kerry. He's got a private jet. Why can't he go on a commercial jet like everybody else? No, he's got to have a private jet and burn more oil, more fuel. So they're all full of, they're all hypocrites.
Well, Pam, Benny, audience, did you guys know that John Kerry served in Vietnam?
Yes.
Did you know that he served in Vietnam?
Oh yeah. You got 3 Purple Hearts. He got a scratch. He got a Purple Heart. He got athlete's feet. He got Purple Heart.
He will never let you. He would never be on an interview letting anyone not know that. Here's the issue. You know what? If we live in a free country, and we have freedom of speech, and we have freedom of thought and freedom of expression that our forefathers, love them or hate them, made sure that we had, so that when they came from, tyranny in Britain, that we didn't experience that. And we also fought a revolutionary war for that and a civil war for all that. So I say to these politicians, if you love socialism and you don't love the way that America has helped you get to the top, because this system is designed for anyone, whatever your creed, whatever your color is, whatever your background is. As the son of Greek immigrants, I can guarantee this, that if you work hard, you will get to your goal. And it is just sheer determination, hard work, and just being a good citizen. So I say to the socialists this: if you love socialism so much and you hate America, quit your job, sell your Tesla, give away your iPhone, right? Because that's all capitalism.
Yeah.
And go down to Cuba, live there for 2 months. Then I'll pay for the airfare. We'll chip in. And then let's get you to Beijing, China. I want you to live there for 4 months under tyranny and Marxism and communism. And then I want you to go live in communist Moscow, Russia, right now, tomorrow morning. I want you to go live there and tell me how it is. And then report back to me in a year, and we'll give you everything back. We'll give you your iPhone. We'll give you your Tesla. We'll give you your Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. back. No problem. And then I want you to just give me a 1-page report on your findings. And then tell me if capitalism is so terrible. Tell me if communism and socialism and Marxism is your answer. And if it is, stay there and we'll give you dual citizenship and we'll pay for your apartment for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because as you know, once they get over there, there is no freedom of speech. There is no freedom of thought.
We don't have any freedom of speech lately here either. TikTok and Facebook and Twitter, you have to go with their narrative, regardless of what side of the fence you're on.
Doesn't matter. That's private.
Otherwise, you get canceled.
It's private. That's private, Vinny. That's totally different. Facebook is private.
Where can I get one of those tickets to Cuba? I need a vacation. That's Ed Chan.
Oh,
George, can you see the comments when they come in?
You do need fossil fuels to create electric. So when someone plugs in, I'm not a petroleum expert. I want to make that very clear. But it's my understanding that you need some type of coal electricity or you have to have, where does the electricity generate from different cities and different counties all over America? It may be different energy sources, whether it's, coal or gas, or kerosene, whatever again, I don't know the exact answer to that, but it's not free. So in the comments, just think about it. When you plug that in, that electric car, it's great. You're fueling up your electric car.
And by the way, how much does it cost to fill up a car with electricity? What's the out-of-pocket cost?
That's a good question. A lot of stores, as you know, you can plug in, in a grocery store.
No, you got to have a special plug.
Well, no, but I mean, I don't know what the price would be like if you're. say you lived on Long Island, you get home, you plug in what it is a month to feed your Tesla, but I'm sure it's hundreds of dollars. I mean, it's not free.
No,
It may
it's
not
gotta
be
cost
as much
money
as
too.
gasoline, but
It's about $15 to get your Tesla fully charged. But now
and
is a
so
good
like
moment. I'm
if
just
you
gonna
drove an hour a
$15
day,
isn't bad.
you say you needed that.
That's 3 gallons of gas now.
we were
Right?
just gonna cut to just real quick. I wanted to cut to thanking our sponsors. So, in reaching out and thanking to our sponsors, Mark Turner Insurance for your Medicare Medicaid Resource Center. He can be reached at 718-873-1292 or 646-377-5840. Mark Turner 819 at yahoo.com, and he's located in Staten Island, New York. And then we have Cash for Cars. We make it easy on Staten Island, fast and easy. We buy all cars and trucks, any condition. They are also one of our sponsors. So thank you to Cash for Auto New York. And of course, Artuso Pastries over in the Bronx, in Little Italy, the Bronx, Artuso Pastry. Thank you so much since 1946. Please send me your cannoli and pastries since Vinny's always ranting and
I'm
raving.
going to bring you pastries. I'm going to bring you the spingy. You know, George, you know what the spingy is? That's the St. Joseph's pastry. It's a little swirly thing with cream and oh my! I'm talking about it.
I'm definitely going there. I'm going to.
We're going to give you a virtual spingy.
No, we know from the baklava.
Yes.
Yeah, baklava. I love baklava.
I got some this weekend. I took it to a client in Connecticut. I mean, I'm all
My
in. My
grandmother used to make it. She used to make it, but they're also immigrants. They came here from Turkey and Greece.
Yeah.
And so same thing, hardworking. You know, you get what you want, and you have to put in the work for it. No, but nothing got handed to anybody in my family when they first came to this country.
Yeah, and
everyone worked hard for it.
Petroleum to make the tires your electric car rides on. Yeah, how do you make tires with petroleum? Hello.
Absolutely. Lipstick, eye gloss, eyeshadow, cream, sunscreen,
everything. There's Vaseline, petroleum jelly.
I mean, what we need to do is, at some point, we've got to get like just two smart people, no matter what their background is. I don't care. It would be great. A great smart Democrat, a great smart Republican, do a joint press conference, say, here's the plan. Here's the plan so that we're not fighting over wars over oil, which has been happening for how many decades, so that we can just get disentangled from, communist, Marxist, totalitarian regimes like Iran, Russia, China. So we're not dependent on foreign oil. That is why we have inflation. And Vinny, you asked a question. Oh, they're blaming Putin. At first, they were blaming President Trump. Then they're blaming the coronavirus. Then they're blaming this. Then they're blaming that. And it's just the blame of the day. The bottom line is drill here, drill now. Gas prices will fall by half over the next 6 months, and everybody will breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, and by the way, when gas prices double, is it more expensive or less expensive to get on an airplane and travel?
Uh-huh.
Is it more expensive or less expensive for an airplane to fuel up and deliver your FedEx, your UPS, your Amazon packages? Who do you think?
Everything gets more expensive because if the gas and oil is more expensive, then the truck driver that's driving across country, he's paying more for gas. So he has to charge more for his delivery service.
Yeah, everything gets passed off to the consumer.
The company that uses him to deliver something has to charge more money because they're paying more money, and that's how inflation goes higher.
That's what I'm saying. It gets passed off to the consumer. Right now, you have the farmers getting their crops. It has to get loaded onto a truck and brought cross country. Everything gets passed on to the consumer, whether it's at the gas pump or whether it's at the supermarket, the butcher, the baker, everything. And that's why the same prices are going up, because it costs more to get everything from the farm to the table. And at the end of the day, all of us are stretching our dollar more and more and more. And it can only go so far because nobody's getting a raise increase. Nobody's getting a cost of living increase. And so many people are still out of work right now because of the coronavirus. I took a huge hit in my practice, in my industry, between the bail reform and also with the coronavirus. So how far can you stretch a dollar when you have, even if you have a single income family? Most people are not two income families. There's only so much that you could stretch.
Some people have they work two jobs. One person's in the family, they work in two jobs. So
and more. Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, my father had a business, and then he lost it. I don't know what happened. He sold the business, lost it. Then he took a regular job, but he always had a second job. Always had another job, and that we lived pretty good. I mean, we weren't living rich, but we lived okay. We had a roof over our head. We had food on the table. We had some clothes.
Same thing. My father too had two jobs.
And my father worked as a tailor for a while, but I had tailor-made suits. I was 13 years old, tailor-made suits. I'd go have a street fight and rip all the clothes. And
next morning, you're looking good again.
Well, got to be well dressed when you have a street fight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, I was the best dressed. I didn't win a lot of fights, but I was the best dressed fighter.
George, in talking about getting back to your area of expertise with the stock market, the way it is right now, where do you see the market right now? I know from something that you and I were discussing prior to coming onto the show this evening, that we've been in a bull market. Do you see us still being in a bull market as the months go forward under President Biden and his administration, and of course what's going on now with the Russia-Ukraine matter? Do you think it's going to turn into a bear market? Will it stay the same? Will it auto-correct?
Those are great questions. And let me preface it by saying that I want to ask you both and the audience, when is the best time to plant a tree?
I would say if you plant the tree in the wintertime.
Anytime's a good time.
It's an ancient Chinese proverb. The answer, according to the ancient Chinese proverb, is 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. I thought you were the actual season.
When is the second best time to plant a tree? Today. Okay. So I always tell people, you're not investing for today. You're investing for tomorrow. So in spite of everything in Washington, in spite of gasoline doubling, in spite of your cheese, your lumber, your eggs, your milk, your steak, your everything, poultry, I get it. I go to Fairway too on the Upper West Side. I go to Trader. I see the prices. And really, I work so hard and so fast. There's nothing I can do about it other than to just keep working hard and try to tune it out and do my best. So I feel, when I say these things, I understand with the audience what you're going through, because the three of us on the panel, we go through it too. Everybody does. So to answer your question, the best defense is a great offense, right? So you need to buy the greatest stocks that you being all of the individual people in the audience, buy what you understand. Forget about what you don't, because what you don't understand could and very well may hurt you. Buy what you know. What do I mean? So what kind of a phone do you have in the audience out there? You have an Apple? Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah. People have iPhones, Apple, Android.
So do 3.5 billion people on Earth. And guess what? Every 5 years or so, they need to upgrade because the chips get faster, the battery gets slower. I mean, I'm not saying everyone in developing nations or third world countries are like going out and buying $2,000 iPhone 13 Pluses tomorrow morning, but at some point they will upgrade, right? So people buy MacBooks, iPads, Apple Watch. The products that Apple makes, I mean, just think about it. It's mind-boggling. Steve Jobs he'll go down in history for centuries. They're going to look back and say, this man was a genius, and he died young. Yeah. I mean, people say, once a founder dies, then the company's going to fold. That's what someone told. And I said, really? Have you ever heard of the Ford F-150 truck? The number one best-selling truck in the world year over year. And Henry Ford died how many years ago? How many decades ago?
A century.
That's the beauty of capitalism. So I challenge anyone out there who's on the fence, who's like, listen to a lot of junk and garbage on fake news and this and that about how bad America is. If we're so bad, how do we have the highest standard of living on earth. Why is it that people are dying, literally dying, and literally on the southern border right now? We have a crisis. Why is it that our parents, our grandparents, why is it that our heritage, how come they died to get here and would sacrifice everything to get on a boat and go from Europe to America? Is it because it was a chance, or maybe it might? No, they wanted the American dream. The American dream is so alive and well. So I tell people in the audience, and to your answer to your question, Pamela, invest in stocks every single month, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter if it's sunny, cloudy, rainy. And I mean that figuratively and as a metaphor, because right now it's a little cloudy in the world, right? I mean, I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses. I see what's going on. But in spite of all that, I'm still going to make my monthly IRA contribution, my 401k contribution, and we will pester our clients that need to do that. And we want everyone out there to know that the American dream's alive and well. Buy stocks. Here's a great book for the audience to buy. Peter Lynch was the manager of the Fidelity Magellan Fund. It was a mutual fund managed at Fidelity Investments. He managed it for a quarter of a century, and he was the number one mutual fund manager in the world every year. The secret to his success is in the book Beat the Street by Peter Lynch. Peter, P-E-T-E-R, Lynch, L-Y-N-C-H. It's on Amazon, probably $15. Beat the Street. That's one of his great books. All he says in there is, invest in what you know and understand. And that is, I believe, 90% of success investing. The other 5% is discipline. And the other 5% is don't try to time the stock market. Don't try to figure out if the market's up or down. It goes up and down every day, but it goes up over time. So if you follow those rules and you put in, a certain amount each month and try to increase it every year, in 25 years, you will be a millionaire. Yeah. 25 years, not 25 days or day trading, or you buy it and you hold it like Warren Buffett. Just
right. And don't panic. Right. And don't panic when everything starts going down and say like, oh my God, I got to sell. It's going down. Because as you know, and I learned from you, and plus, I have an MBA as well. Yeah. You buy low and you sell high. You don't sell when everything is starting crashing and falling apart, because it's going to autocorrect at some point.
Absolutely. And on that, to dovetail on that, so this is public information. Last month, Google announced a 20-for-1 stock split. Let me repeat that. Google is going to give every shareholder 20 shares for every one share they have on the 1st of July. I believe that's the day of this year. This is public information. They just announced.
That means everybody's going to go out and buy as much stock now. Their stock is going to go up, and then it's going to get the 20 split.
Yes, and just so the audience knows, everybody, just because they announced a 20-for-1 stock split, so the price, right when the split happens, the price of the stock will fall 20-fold, right, to adjust for the 20 shares you just got.
Right, it goes down, of course.
Right, but you still have the same market value or dollar value of your investment.
You just have more.
But the thing is, now you have more shares, and so in the next 3, 5, 10 years, does anyone out there in the audience think that Google will be trading higher or lower in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
High, of course.
High, of course.
Their revenue is off the charts. Now, love them or hate them politically or whatever they do with their, so that's not, the focus of tonight. The focus of tonight is to give some actionable ideas for, the audience. And then also Amazon followed suit and last week announced a 20-for-1 stock split, their first stock split since 1999. Go check it out on CNBC or Fox Business or whatever. You'll get the articles, do your due diligence. But again, Amazon is giving all of their shareholders, for every one share that they own, 20 shares. I think it's next month or whenever I'm not quite certain on that, but it has been announced as public information. So those are two actionable ideas of things we understand. Most of us use on a day-to-day basis. Most of us search on Google and get things from Amazon. I mean, they're not going away, no matter what's happening in Eastern Europe or at the gas station or at the grocery store. And those are the ways to beat inflation. We have to have an edge and we need the great growth stocks. And by the way, we're very bullish on the stock market. I don't make predictions, but in 3 years, we're all going to look back, just like we've looked back in March, April 2020, and I look back 2 years, and I told every single client, and I told anyone out there who would listen, buy now, because we're going to get through this, and the stock market is indicating that we're going to get through. We had a big rally today. We probably hit the bottom of this market correction. I'm not trying to time the market, but like usually when all the worst news is out there and everything kind of hits maximum velocity in a bad way, that's kind of when you're like, okay, and we're heading into spring, and maybe things will get better in Eastern Europe. So we're very bullish on the market.
What about those companies where people invest on their own? Not so much day trading, but you can just go online, open up your own account. Like, what's it, TD America?
TD America. So so everyone out there can go to, online account, open up an online account, and it's wise if you're just starting,
right?
And buy a good index fund. Index being like the S&P 500 index fund, which is the market. That way you'll own 500 stocks in one exchange traded fund. And there's a number of good fund families out there that you can buy, the S&P 500 index fund, again, in any online trading platform, Schwab, a TD Ameritrade, a Fidelity, an Interactive Brokers. But at some point when your account hits a magic number, I would say 100,000, even below that, you want to hire a great wealth manager, because that person can give you great insight into the markets, be a great coach so that you don't sell low and panic. The person that sells during a market correction like we just had and tries to time the market and get back in when the market is going to go back up already missed it. And if you miss the 5 or 10 best days after a correction like we just had, then you'll miss out on like years of gains in your long-term returns. So a seasoned wealth manager will keep you from making those mistakes. You're a lawyer and you would never advise a client to represent themselves, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And Vinny, your doctor, if you went to your doctor and said, you know what, Vinny, just write your own prescription and you go ahead and give your own diagnosis, you'd be like,
yeah, forget about it.
So same thing. Your wealth is your health, and your health is your wealth. Without your wealth, you have no health, because if something happens, you don't have the money when you're 70, 78, or your spouse or a child, life is fragile. So we need to have twice as much as we think we need. Oh, by the way, we just made an announcement to our client list. We're recommending that now we're saying that you're living to be 100 years old. JP Morgan just came out with the announcement last week. We're following their suit from Jamie Dimon. And in other words, when we map out your retirement,
right,
it's not if a client says, oh, but I'm not going to, it doesn't matter what you say. We are acting as if you're living to be 100, because the advances in biotechnology, biomedicine, even with the last 2 years, still our advances are amazing. And the beauty is in the next 10, 20, 30 years, we will see revolutionary advances in biotech and biomedicine that we haven't even thought of yet.
Well, I'm going to get you in on a little secret, because something that I recently looked into that I'm going to be getting involved in is all these advances in biotech medicine, as far as advances in super early detection of cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is in a very non-invasive manner of testing people now through oral swabs, through a buccal swab.
Yeah.
And so this is something I've been looking into for the last number of months, and it is just phenomenal what can be detected. You just think about it: diabetes, different types of cancer, dementia. So, I mean, anything that you think of, that right now that there are all these tests, and a lot of these new treatments of biotech, but this biotech testing, it's all been approved also by Medicare and Medicaid. So,
I mean, you're so right. Like, guys, and let's give the man credit. I mean, President Trump created 3 vaccines in less than a year, in the year 2020. I mean, seriously, like those would have taken 2 decades before. The advances are incredible. And there is going to be such, like you said, such tremendous advances. And
And the advances are not only in this country, but they're also coming from Israel as well.
Oh
Because
yeah, there are other countries that are very, especially Israel. Israel
right,
has
they're so far advanced.
scientists. They have some unbelievable stuff. We're not the only country in the world that has geniuses. You know, there's many geniuses around the world. And
Well,
by the way, I had a client that has a stem cell research in Hong Kong. So he
Wow.
wants to live to be 120 years old. He has parts of his body cloned. I mean, it's possible. It's very possible to live to be 120.
it is. But
If you
George,
can-
I would like you to put out for anyone who would like to get in touch with you. So if any of our listeners, to get in touch with George Antonopoulos, George, if you could please tell everyone how they can reach you.
Sure. You can email me, gsa@wallstreeti.com. I as in investments. You can go to our website, www.wallstreetinvestments.com. Again, wallstreetinvestments, plural.com. You can see our my Fox Business appearances on our YouTube channel there. You can sign up for our automated weekly newsletter, and you will get that. And I would love to be able to have my team give you a no strings attached complimentary review if you need that of your portfolio, or if you just had a simple question, no problem. There's no strings attached. And I just wanted to say that the one thing that I alluded to earlier about putting in a set amount, being disciplined every month, to the audience out there, and I'm not kidding, if you start with $10 into your Roth IRA or your IRA rollover, your traditional IRA, contributory IRA, you can go online, open up an IRA account. If you bank at JP Morgan or Bank of America, you can open up an IRA at any of your banking, mostly, right, online. And if not, use a reputable online broker. You could put in $10 a month to start. Like if you're really, it's been a tough couple years, I get it. And then do that for 3 months. And then you'll get momentum, you'll get confidence. Then double it to $20 a month. Everybody could put in $20 a month if you had to into your IRA, right? So then you double it again to 40. And then your mind is going to start saying, wait a minute, I'm seeing my portfolio grow. I'm not really sacrificing too much. And now I can put in 100 a month. Then 100 will become 200, then 400. Sooner, before the year, let's say 2024, in 2 years, you'll be putting $2,000 a month away. Now you might be maxing out your retirement account, and you can open up an individual account, a taxable account. But nevertheless, start at a level you feel comfortable with, and you can always build from there. The key is to get your mind disciplined and your heart and soul. It's half art, half science, all of this, right? It's emotional, it's mathematical, but don't make it complicated. Just, there's this business acronym called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm not calling anyone out there stupid. I'm just saying, just KISS, keep it simple,
It's
stupid.
simple.
That's it. The simpler that you keep all of this, the quicker you will become a millionaire in the market. And it might take 20 years, but 20 years goes by fast, as we know.
Yes. And now going back to thanking some additional sponsors this evening, Vinny, would you like to pick up? Because these are your promos.
Okay, why not? Bring my books out. Okay, Mafia Double Cross, where the Mafia and the FBI go on vacation together while terrorists take over a hotel. That's all I'm going to tell you. Investigations After Dark, my publisher told me, write a sexy detective book. That's sexy. From the detective's kitchen, when I was on a job, I went to French cooking school. I'm Italian, so I cook Italian also. While my guys are on surveillances, I would be making up a gourmet dish for them. And Rogue PI, it's about my high-profile cases, working on Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton, working on Anthony Quinn, working on John F. Kennedy's watch that Marilyn Monroe gave him, and a number of other high-profile cases. And, of course, some of my cases that I've been involved in myself. And then we have my daughter who took over my company, and she's a private eye, just a chip off the old block. She does very, very good work because she learned from me. And this is George. This is the best part of the show. What one thing you're thankful for, George?
The one thing, I was walking here from back to my office before the show, and a friend of mine said, George, I need that song that we talked about. My best friend, his father passed away January 3rd. And I flew to Chicago to help him with the house and everything 2 Fridays ago. I'm flying back for the funeral tomorrow. So he said, what's this inspirational song? It's God Bless America by Dave Bray. Dave Bray, Bray. God Bless America.
Oh, that's a nice song.
Yeah. I am most grateful for getting up every day and being able to do what I love to do what I love to do for whom I love to do it for, my clients, my people, my vendors, my team that I built, to be able to be a leader, because that wouldn't happen in Russia. That wouldn't happen in China. That wouldn't happen in Central America. That wouldn't happen in half the world. We have the greatest experiment that's ever been known to man and womankind. I mean, this is by far the greatest thing that I'm grateful for, is to be a citizen of the United States of America. And I just want the audience to know, we're still the good guys and girls. We're the people that, that everybody calls to bail them out when they get
the policemen of the world.
That's what I'm most proud of. And that song, it hits me like, wow, like what my parents had to go through to get here and the sacrifices. And I know that everybody can identify that. So that's what I'm most grateful for, to be a citizen of this United States of America.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a mouthful right there. How about you, Pam?
Well, being that I just spent the last month in and out of the hospital from 2 surgeries, I am very thankful and grateful that I had terrific doctors and nurses and staff take care of me, both in January for the operation and the surgery that I had this past week. So I am very grateful. Thank God that I am alive, that I am healthy, I am pain-free. I am not on any machines or medications or anything. And thank God I'm able to get up every single morning, open my eyes and realize I'm alive. I take a deep breath and I get to spend the day with my family and my son. And of course, same thing, doing what it is that I love to do. As an attorney, I love helping people and I like fighting the good fight, as well as what I like to do at night and on the weekends, which is standing up, doing stand-up comedy all over New York and making people laugh. So that's what I'm thankful for.
And I'm thankful for having wonderful people around me, having a great family. And recently I took an exam. Every 6 months I get a checkup, blood and everything. I came out flying colors. I was a type 2 diabetic, not anymore.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, and I work out every day in the gym except one. I always take one day off. There's always one day. I don't want to work. I don't want to do nothing. I want to sleep. But I have great friends. I've narrowed my circle of friends down to two handfuls. That's it. I have hundreds of friends, but my real friends, I only have very few real friends. And I like what I do. I like my work. I like doing this. And I like following Pam. Pam does a comedy. I do some comedy once. Matter of fact, next week I'm going to upstate New York. And I'm going to be doing comedy with somebody who has a Netflix show. And maybe they'll put me on the show too. And whatever, it's just fun. Listen, I like to do things that I like to do, period. And if I get accolades, fine. If I get criticism, it's okay. I live with that too. But I just like I just like life. I want to live to be 110. Maybe 120, but 110. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank Pam for bringing you on. And I got to say, we've been having good guests lately, and it makes the job even easier. We have 2 more sponsors coming aboard. We have people like to sponsor our show, so that's all good.
George, I want to thank you because I mean, you
We have we have people sponsors from Little Italy in the Bronx. Maybe we should get some people from the Greeks from Astoria because they have some great food too.
There's not a time that I can ever go to Astoria and not get corralled.
Oh yeah, I love Astoria.
I go to Titan all the time. I love going to Titan. I got the cheese, the olives, the baklava, the borekas, and just everything.
When I first got to New York, right, like I remember going and having dinner with some friends in the Village, and the waitress, she's like, "Are you from Astoria?" And I'm like, "Why does everyone keep asking me that?"
Because
I figured it out after about 2 weeks when but yeah, you can get hooked easy. I wanted to just say thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Vinny. It was an honor to be here tonight. I think you guys have a really cool show and cool platform, and I had a lot of fun. I felt like I could, speak freely and with respect and, intelligence to your audience. And, I just want you guys to know again that I'm grateful. And I think you've got something really fresh, informative, and unique here. And so it was a lot of fun. I can't even believe it now.
I got to say something.
Goodbye.
Before we had Pam came on with me as a partner, I was doing it more political. And, after a while, I said, all my liberal friends, all two of them got mad at me.
Oh, no. Well,
well, I had some woman the other day go, "How come you don't have me on my I asked her to be on my show. She's very liberal, left, progressive. And I said to her, I said, I didn't have you because I asked you once and you were afraid to come on. Oh, no, I'm going to show them what Trump is a traitor, and your show is it's not about Trump. We don't want to be political. I mean, we talk about the Ukraine. Last couple of weeks we talked about the Ukraine, but you have to talk about it. And it's not really political, but it is. It's depends on how you look at how. But the thing is, there's a war going on. So war is political, one way or another. And we had the homeless. We had talked about Pam's good friend and now my friend, Gigi LaQ. She does something with the homeless every Wednesday night. And Pam went out with the phone and a car, and they're giving out food to the homeless man. I was very proud of her. Very proud of doing that show.
How much time do we have?
Don't worry about it. I got to ask one question since we could go over. I had a client that got in trouble for shorting stocks. Now, I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but I don't understand the premise of shorting stocks. That you actually buy stock and you buy it on margin and you hope that it goes down. Explain that to me. It's just boggling. Oh, by the way, I had a client years ago. I don't know if you remember a brokerage firm called Fishbeck and Fishbeck. They shorted $400 million worth of stock on October 16th, 1980s, the day before the big crash. They knew something. They knew something was going on, and they made $400 million, and they retired. They said, you know what? We made enough money. We don't need it anymore. And so how does that work?
I guess in that case, Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott steel, right?
What's that?
Your audience will know that. That's a line from Wall Street where.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Sheen calls up the newspapers. Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott steel. Anyway, so yeah, inside information is definitely not a good thing. And anyway, to answer your story about shorting, yeah, I mean, so there was a big short sale on Tesla. There are these groups of hedge funds that thought they're so smart that they're going to short the Tesla stock in hopes that it goes down and down. And then what happened in 2020 and 2021? Tesla went up like 1,000.
They lose when the stock goes up. They lose.
So when a stock goes up and someone's shorting the stock, you could have infinite loss because the stock could go higher. Theoretically, a stock could go higher and higher and never stop. And then you're having to buy it as it goes up and up. You have to pay back that price because you were saying that it was going the opposite way. The thing is, that's a game that there's some guys and gals on Wall Street that's what they live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
So I just want the audience out there to stay away from margin, stay away from short sales, stay away from cryptocurrencies, stay away. I mean, there's a lot of stay away froms in investing. So just invest in what you know. But shorting stock is, betting that the stock will go down.
Right. And if anybody has any questions, then definitely reach out to George Antonopoulos.
George,
He gave that
thank
his
you. Very
information before.
informative.
He's very
Now,
informative. And I will.
$140 million tonight. Do I call you up and you can tell me where to put the money?
If you had $40 million,
$140 million.
$140 million, I'd put $70 million into New York City tax-free municipal bonds. Mm-hmm. So you never have to worry about anything for the rest of your life, your children's lives, and the other 70 million, I would put it into a diversified portfolio of large cap, mid cap, and small cap stocks across the spectrum. So you'd own thousands of stocks, and you would earn literally on the 70 million in municipal bonds, you'd earn, about 4.2 million in tax-free income every year, which would be about, 300,000 to 400,000 a month in tax-free income going right into your bank account that you don't have to pay any federal, state, or New York.
I'll remember that when I win the lottery tonight.
If anyone out there gets an inheritance, which we all do, maybe, who knows? But
I never know.
Sit down and don't just do it yourself. Sit down, vet a couple of wealth managers out, interview them.
Now, with a wealth manager, when you hire a wealth manager, they get a percentage of the amount of money they push for you. How does that work?
Invest on your behalf, not push.
That's
okay.
So
a great wealth manager you'll pay a percentage of your assets under management. So you pay an annual fee of the amount of money that's managed for you. So the only way that your wealth manager gets a pay raise is if your value goes up over time. If it goes down, they get a pay decrease. So they're either going to win with you or lose with you. And if they lose with you, you'll probably fire them, right? But you got to give anyone out there, and I don't care who it is or what they say or what their pedigree is or what firm they're with. You got to give that human being 3 years, because anything can happen in the 3-year time frame. Look what's happened in the last 2 years, for instance. So, just be fair. Don't judge someone on 3 months or 6 months. Give them a full 3 years for their plan to develop. And then after 3 years, if it doesn't work,
would you advise getting two companies, split the money in half, and try two different
I would advise interview 3 or 4 people, narrow it down to your finalists, and pick your winner. You're getting into a marriage. Now, it may be a honeymoon for 3 years, but you are marrying them. And it really, we won't accept a client if they're like, I'm going to keep some of my assets somewhere. I'm like, for us, it's more all or nothing. We're developing a 20, 30 and beyond year relationship, intergenerational transfer of wealth to their children. And I'm really looking out like 2-3 generations for people. So I don't really care what happens in 2022. Mm-hmm. As a human, I do. As a person, but
I like the tax-free income. That's a great way to.
If you had that much wealth, it would behoove you to put 70, because you're going to be taxed exorbitantly. So if you had $140 million, you want to put half in tax-free municipal bonds, and you will receive literally $3-4 million tax-free money every year. It would go in monthly into your bank account. You have 12 interest payments.
And if I had that money, can I buy a Ferrari?
You could go to 52nd.
I can buy you one too.
I would take you as my client to 52nd and Park Avenue, and they have a red and a silver Ferrari. I don't know. They're right there in the showroom. I
saw it. I was at the Friars Club. It's a gray Stradale. It's an electric car, almost $1 million, 900.
So you would as your wealth manager, I would absolutely allow you to go do that, because.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Oh my God, you made my day.
I want the red one because I have shoes that match.
Now I need the money. That's all.
But again, that's because you're bringing in $300,000 a month tax free, and we could pay it off in 3 months, and then you're still going to get $300,000 a month tax free for the rest of your life, and your heirs and their heirs and their heirs.
From your lips to God's ears.
Well, I want George. I want to definitely thank you.
Yeah.
Had a great time tonight.
You are welcome anytime. I will bring you back in the future. And
Let's
so I
do
want to
it.
thank everybody. Absolutely. And I'm going to be speaking to you privately about everything we spoke about today.
And happy Purim to your
Thank you.
audience.
Thank you so
And
much.
happy St.
And happy
Patrick's
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's a good
May
time.
the luck of the Irish be with you, with all of us.
Yep.
And thank you to everybody. And let's stay healthy, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Anthony. And
My
thank you to
pleasure.
your audience and your